The San Antonio Spurs may have made their most important move of the offseason, and it had nothing to do with a trade, the draft, or free agency. It happened on the bench. When San Antonio added Billy Donovan as Mitch Johnson's lead assistant, the Spurs did more than bring in another experienced voice. They added a Hall of Fame coach with championship credibility, decades of experience, and a resume that immediately changes the pressure surrounding Johnson. Now, the questions are unavoidable. Was Donovan hired to fix the late-game collapses that haunted San Antonio on the biggest stage? Could he influence whether De'Aaron Fox or Dylan Harper starts, or is he the head coach in waiting if Mitch cannot finish the job? After winning 62 games and reaching the NBA Finals, the Spurs are no longer judged like a rebuilding project. San Antonio is on a championship timeline, and every late-game decision will be examined under a microscope. Mitch Johnson proved he can lead a young team. This new staff was assembled to correct what stopped San Antonio from winning a championship. Here is why Billy Donovan's arrival changes everything. The Spurs are trying to finish. First, we have to understand what this move says about the organization. Mitch Johnson was officially named head coach in May 2025 after serving as acting coach for the final 77 games of the previous season. The Spurs praised his poise, values, and potential. He rewarded that faith by leading San Antonio to a 62-20 record, the second seed in the Western Conference, and a trip to the NBA Finals. That is an incredible first full season. But success creates pressure. Development still matters, but winning close playoff games, sharpening rotations, and making faster timeout decisions matter even more. That is where Billy Donovan enters the picture. Donovan is not a typical assistant. He was inducted into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame in 2025, won consecutive national championships at Florida, and has extensive NBA head coaching experience. He joins Johnson's staff as lead assistant after Sean Sweeney left for a head coaching opportunity in Orlando. Now, Mitch has a veteran beside him who has lived through playoff adjustments, star player management, criticism, and the challenge of controlling games from the sideline. However, it also raises the stakes. Whenever Mitch makes a questionable decision, fans will ask the same thing: would Billy Donovan have handled that differently? Late-game execution has to change. Now let's address the biggest issue: the blown leads. San Antonio Spurs fans are not imagining this concern. It became the defining frustration of the finals, especially after Game 4 against the New York Knicks. The Spurs led by 29 points. The Spurs were ahead 81-52 in the third quarter and held a 27-point halftime advantage. They looked completely in control. Then everything disappeared. The Spurs scored only 14 points in the third quarter and 16 in the fourth. New York outscored them 58-32 in the second half and won 107-106, completing the largest recorded comeback in an NBA Finals game. That collapse cannot be blamed on one decision. San Antonio missed shots, New York increased its pressure, and the Spurs shifted from attacking the Knicks to simply trying to survive them. But coaching becomes most visible when momentum begins to turn. When should the timeout have come? Should the lineup have changed earlier? Should the Spurs have put the ball in De'Aaron Fox's hands and simplified the offense? Should Victor Wembanyama have operated from a different spot on the floor? Should Dylan Harper have been used as a second downhill creator before the lead completely vanished? Those are the moments when Donovan can help Johnson build an entire fourth-quarter structure, not merely draw up one final play. Who initiates the offense when an opponent traps Fox? What is the automatic counter when Wembanyama is fronted? Which 5 players are trusted when the game becomes physical? What happens after 2 empty possessions? At what point do the staff stop allowing the players to work through a problem and call a timeout? The Spurs don't need to become conservative. They need to remain organized. Young teams often begin playing the scoreboard instead of continuing to play basketball. With a large lead, the ball stops moving. Players use the clock too early. The offense becomes predictable, and the defense loses aggression because everyone is afraid of making the mistake that starts the comeback. Donovan's job should be to help the staff recognize those warning signs immediately. Late-game execution is also not only about drawing up better plays, it's about defining responsibility before the pressure arrives. The Spurs cannot enter the final 5 minutes wondering who controls the tempo, who calls out the defensive coverage, or which player gets the first touch after an opponent's run. Donovan can help Johnson establish those answers during training camp and rehearse them until they become automatic. That could mean designated timeout triggers, 2 or 3 dependable pressure release actions in a clear hierarchy for closing possessions. It could also mean empowering assistants to challenge Johnson in real time instead of waiting until the film session the following morning. Great coaching staffs don't simply agree with the head coach, they give him the best information quickly enough to change the outcome. San Antonio's talent can build another 20-point lead. The coaching staff's growth will determine whether that lead survives. The Spurs cannot protect advantages by slowing into isolation basketball. They must continue generating quality shots, forcing defensive rotations, and attacking the rim. Mitch also has to become more decisive. A young coach may wait because he trusts his players to solve the problem. That trust can be valuable during the regular season. In the NBA Finals, waiting can end a series. The 29-point collapse should become the most valuable coaching film of Mitch's career. Every possession, substitution, and timeout opportunity should be reviewed, not to embarrass anyone, but to make sure it never happens again.
Fox, Harper, and the starting lineup debate. Now let's get into the question dividing Spurs fans. Should Dylan Harper start over De'Aaron Fox? It sounds extreme. Fox is the proven veteran, while Harper is entering only his 2nd season. But the argument is about roster balance, not necessarily which player is better. Harper gives San Antonio size, physicality, downhill pressure, rebounding, and another long-term piece who fits the timeline of Wembanyama and Stephon Castle. As a rookie, Harper averaged 11.8 points, 3.9 assists, and 3.4 rebounds, while showing that he could create offense against playoff pressure. Some fans believe starting Harper would allow the Spurs to bring Fox off the bench as an explosive veteran scorer, protecting the second unit from offensive droughts. It is interesting in theory, but I do not believe Billy Donovan will walk into San Antonio and immediately push Fox to the bench. Fox has earned the respect of being treated like a core veteran. Moving him into a reserve role could create unnecessary tension unless he completely embraces the change. San Antonio also needs his speed in late-clock shot creation against starting defenses. Wembanyama attracts enormous attention. Fox can punish teams before they get their defense set, break down the first defender, and create favorable matchups for everyone else. Bench depth also does not require benching one of your best players. It requires smarter staggering. The more realistic Donovan influence is this. Fox starts, Harper remains the 6th man, but one of them is on the floor during almost any meaningful minute. That keeps a primary creator with the second unit without manufacturing unnecessary controversy. Harper can enter early, play several minutes beside Wembanyama, and then control the offense when Fox sits. Fox can return against a tired defense, surrounded by bench shooters and defenders who allow him to attack aggressively. In the 4th quarter, Johnson can close with whichever combination is working. That is the important distinction. Starting should not automatically guarantee closing. Some nights, Fox, Castle, and Harper may finish together. In other matchups, San Antonio may need more shooting and use only 2 of those guards. There may also be games when Harper's size, physicality, and ability to get downhill make him the better late-game option. The coaching staff must remove ego from those decisions and communicate everyone's role clearly. Fox is not being punished if Harper closes. Harper is not being held back if he comes off the bench. Castle is not losing status if a particular matchup requires another shooter. The objective is not to create a perfect starting 5, it's to create 48 minutes of controlled basketball. My prediction is that Fox remains the starter, Harper remains the primary bench creator, and Donovan helps Johnson become more aggressive with staggering and matchup-based closing lineups. But if the Spurs continue losing control whenever Fox leaves the floor, or if Harper clearly becomes one of the 5 best players on the roster, this debate will become much more serious by the middle of the season. Is Donovan the head coach in waiting? Now we have to discuss the theory everyone is thinking about. Is Billy Donovan the head coach in waiting? To be clear, there has been no credible report that Donovan was hired to replace Mitch Johnson. His reported role is lead assistant coach. Anything beyond that is currently speculation. Johnson should not be treated like a coach on the hot seat. He led San Antonio to 62 wins, an NBA Finals appearance, and an all-star coaching selection. But the theory exists for a reason. Teams do not often add a Hall of Fame coach with extensive NBA experience beside a young head coach without understanding the dynamic it creates. Donovan gives San Antonio insurance. If Johnson continues improving, Donovan becomes a powerful resource who can help him win a championship. If Johnson struggles, loses the locker room, repeats the same late-game mistakes, or fails to maximize a championship-caliber roster, San Antonio would have an experienced replacement already inside the building. That does not mean a takeover is planned. It means the Spurs have protected themselves against uncertainty, and that could actually help Mitch. The best young coaches are not threatened by strong assistants, they use them. Johnson does not need to prove that he is the smartest person in every meeting. He needs to prove that he can lead the smartest coaching staff. If Donovan challenges a substitution, listen. If he identifies a late-game coverage problem, adjust. If he recommends changing the rotation, consider it. Leadership is not about rejecting help. Leadership is about turning all available knowledge into the best possible decision. The head coach in waiting narrative becomes dangerous only if Johnson grows defensive or the Spurs begin underperforming. Every blown lead, questionable timeout, or losing streak will make the whispers louder. That pressure is now part of the job, but Mitch can end the conversation. Win games, improve the late-game execution, establish clear rotations, maintain the trust of the locker room, prove last season's finals run was the beginning, not the ceiling. If Johnson accomplishes those things, Billy Donovan will not be remembered as the man waiting to replace him. He will be remembered as the assistant who helped Mitch Johnson become a championship coach. In conclusion, the Spurs' new coaching staff changes everything because the expectations have changed. This is a 62-win finals team built around Wembanyama, Fox, Castle, Harper, and an exceptional young core. The roster is ready to compete now. That means Mitch Johnson must improve now. Billy Donovan should help San Antonio remain composed when leads begin shrinking, create a stronger late-game structure, and manage the Fox, Harper, Castle rotation without allowing individual roles to become distractions. And yes, Donovan's presence creates pressure, but pressure is not always a warning. Sometimes it's proof that the opportunity is real. Mitch has already shown that he can guide the Spurs to the NBA Finals. His next challenge is proving that he can make the adjustments required to win once he gets there. The 29-point collapse will follow this team until it answers it. The rotation debate will continue until the coaching staff finds the right balance, and the Billy Donovan speculation will remain until Mitch makes it obvious that San Antonio already has the right head coach. This season is not just about whether the Spurs are talented enough, it's about whether their coaching staff can turn talent into control, control into consistency, and consistency into a championship. With Billy Donovan now sitting beside Mitch Johnson, the Spurs have added experience, accountability, and a possible safety net. The help is there, the pressure is there. Now there are no excuses. So what do you think? Is Billy Donovan simply the perfect assistant for Mitch Johnson, or is he quietly the next head coach in waiting? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoy Spurs commentary like this, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.